Welcome to Wisdom for Modern Living. In this space, we explore timeless truths that have guided humankind for centuries, lessons from ancient sages and philosophers who understood something most of us have forgotten. Peace is not something we chase, it's something we return to. Today, we begin our first journey together with a question as old as time. Why can't I find peace? Even when life seems full, our minds remain restless. A single comment, a passing worry, an old memory, all can disturb our entire being. To understand peace, we must first understand the nature of the mind. Long ago, a monk named Liang lived in the quiet mountains. He had studied deeply and was known as the peaceful one. One day by a river, he noticed how even a falling leaf could disturb his reflection of the moon. He realized the leaf was not the problem, his own mind could not stay still. He wrote, "The world is noisy because my heart is noisy. When the heart becomes silent, even thunder is peaceful." Our noise today comes not from falling leaves, but from phones, ambition, and endless desire. The Buddha called this the monkey mind, forever jumping from one thought to another. Between past and future, the present disappears. Socrates warned of the barrenness of a busy life. Lao Tzu asked, "Do you have the patience to wait until your mud settles and the water becomes clear?" The modern world says, "Move faster." The ancient world whispered, "Slow down, observe, see clearly." Peace is not about controlling the world, it's about understanding the self. We live under the illusion of control. Epictetus said, "Some things are within our control and some are not." Peace comes when we distinguish between the two. We suffer when we cling to what we cannot change, other people's opinions, outcomes, time itself. The Buddha called this attachment. How often is our peace stolen not by tragedy, but by our reaction to small things? Someone criticizes us and we replay it all day. A plan fails and we feel lost. Our minds turn a moment into a storm. Zen teaches, let go or be dragged. A Taoist story tells of a farmer whose horse ran away. Neighbors said, "Bad luck." He replied, "Maybe." The horse returned with 3 wild horses. "Good luck, maybe." His son broke his leg taming one. "Bad luck, maybe." When soldiers came to draft the young men, his son was spared. "Good luck, maybe." The farmer understood. Peace comes from accepting life's flow without labeling it. The Tao Te Ching says, "The world is sacred. It cannot be improved. If you grasp it, you'll lose it." Peace is found in harmony, not in control. The ancient secret is alignment, to tune ourselves with reality as it is. The mind is like water. When disturbed, it cannot reflect clearly. The more we try to force calm, the more restless it becomes. Liang once tried to meditate harder to silence his thoughts. His master gave him a broom and said, "Sweep the floor, but do not let a speck of dust rise." He soon realized sweeping itself raised dust. The act of forcing calm creates disturbance. He dropped the broom and understood, the dust is my own doing. The Stoics taught the same through the view from above. When we rise beyond ourselves, our problems shrink. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Strength means understanding the mind, not controlling it. What truly disturbs our peace is desire, wanting things to be other than they are. Lao Tzu said, "To be content with what you have is the greatest wealth." Desire isn't evil, but when it becomes craving, peace slips away. Hold sand too tightly, it escapes. Hold gently, it stays. The Buddha called this the middle way. Neither indulgence nor suppression. To walk it is to see desire clearly without letting it dominate us. We are like dogs chasing our tails, believing happiness is somewhere just ahead. The master's new peace begins when we stop chasing. Hakuin said, "Not knowing how near the truth is, people seek it far away, like one who stands in water and cries out for thirst." All wisdom traditions point inward. The world never stops moving, but within us lies a still point untouched by gain or loss, praise or blame. Hindus called it Atman, Taoists the uncarved block, Buddhists the unborn mind. Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is within you." This stillness is not achieved but remembered. Peace is not a technique, it's a return. We return by slowing down, observing without judgment, listening more, and realizing that life flows through us, not for us. Alan Watts said, "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop." When we understand this, struggle softens. We stop seeing ourselves as separate from the world and begin to sense the harmony in all things. So how do we live this wisdom? by being still in our actions, gentle in our thoughts, present in our breath, by seeing each moment, the sunrise, the sound of rain, the laughter of a stranger, as a teacher of impermanence and grace. Peace is not found in distant mountains or temples, but in the way we meet each ordinary moment. It begins when we look inward and remember who we are beneath all noise. In the next part of our journey, we'll learn how ancient masters practiced this stillness in the midst of chaos, how they remained calm during war, loss, and change. Because peace isn't something we find after the storm, it's something we discover within the storm. Peace is not an escape from the world. It is the art of being fully alive within it. The ancient masters understood this deeply. They never sought peace by running away to caves or mountains. They found it while walking among people, amid noise, desire, and impermanence. True peace is not built in silence, it is tested in chaos. There is a story about a monk who was once asked, "What is peace?" Instead of answering, he took a bowl of water and stirred it with his hand until it rippled. Then he said, "This is the mind of most people." He waited until the water became still again and said, "This is peace." Then he struck the bowl suddenly, and the water rippled once more. "This," he said, "is life. You cannot stop the ripples, but if you do not disturb them further, they fade on their own." The wisdom is simple but profound. The world will stir us with pain, with pleasure, with noise, but our suffering only lasts as long as we keep reacting. When we stop feeding our thoughts with fear, anger, and endless analysis, they lose their power. Ancient teachers practiced this through what we now call mindfulness. They didn't sit just to meditate, they practiced being fully present in every act. When drinking tea, they only drank tea. When walking, they only walked. In that simplicity, life became sacred again. Every moment was a small ceremony of awareness. The Stoics shared the same insight in their own way. Seneca said, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." We are hurt not only by what happens, but by the stories we tell ourselves about it. Peace is found in that pause, the small gap between what happens and how we respond. In that gap lies all our freedom. Modern life tries to erase that space. We live in reaction, news, notifications, emotions. We wake up already running. But the ancients taught that the more the world speeds up, the slower the wise must become. To rush is to live on the surface. To pause is to enter life deeply. There's a saying in Zen, when walking, walk. When eating, eat. The meaning is not literal. It is an invitation to come home to what you are doing. If you can be fully where you are, even for one breath, you are already free. The philosopher Confucius once said, "The superior man is calm and at peace. The small man is always full of anxiety." His teaching was not about class or status, but about consciousness. A superior person is one who lives from understanding, not impulse. They do not need everything to go their way to be peaceful. Peace is not the absence of problems, it is the presence of clarity. Think of the ocean. On the surface, waves crash, foam, roar, but in its depths, there is stillness. Life is like that. On the surface of events, arguments, disappointments, hopes, everything moves and collides. But deep within, in the quiet awareness that watches it all, there is peace. The ancients called this awareness the witness. The witness never fights with the waves. It simply observes them come and go. When you begin to live as the witness, seeing your thoughts and emotions without identifying with them, peace begins to settle naturally. You no longer say, "I am angry." You begin to say, "There is anger." And something subtle changes. You are no longer the storm. You are the sky in which the storm passes. This shift was the heart of ancient practice. Whether in the still forests of India or the stone streets of Greece, the wise taught the same truth. Suffering comes from identification. When you think you are your thoughts, you become them. When you see your thoughts for what they are, passing clouds, you return to freedom. A story tells of a philosopher who was once insulted in the marketplace. Instead of reacting, he smiled and said, "If someone gives you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does it belong?" The people laughed, and the man who had shouted the insult fell silent. Peace is power without resistance. It disarms conflict by refusing to feed it. The Buddha taught this as the second arrow. When life wounds you, that is the first arrow, unavoidable. But when you replay it, resent it, or dwell on it, you shoot a second arrow into your own heart. Most of our suffering is not from the first arrow, but from the second. the wise learn to let the first arrow fall and walk on. This doesn't mean indifference. The ancients were not cold, they were compassionate. They simply understood that reacting with anger or fear does not heal the world, it only multiplies pain. To be peaceful is not to be passive, it is to act from understanding instead of reaction. One of the great Confucian scholars, Mencius, said, "The great man is one who does not lose his child's heart." That child's heart is not naivety, it is purity, the ability to see things as they are before judgment. A child can cry and laugh within minutes because they don't cling to emotion. Adults, burdened with memory and pride, turn every passing cloud into a storm that lasts weeks. To return to peace is to return to that childlike freshness, to meet life as it is now, not as we fear it to be. Lao Tzu called this the way of the water. "Water is soft and yielding," he wrote, "but nothing can resist it. It flows where others cannot go. It does not compete, yet it wins." Water does not demand the mountain to move, it simply finds a way around it. So too, the wise do not demand the world to change. They flow with what is, and by doing so, they move mountains silently. The Stoics practiced this same humility through amor fati, the love of fate. They did not just accept what happens, they loved it, seeing every event as a part of the larger design of the universe. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire takes whatever you throw into it and turns it into flame and brightness." For the peaceful mind, even pain becomes light. Every experience is fuel for awakening. Joy teaches gratitude, loss teaches detachment, conflict teaches patience, failure teaches humility. To the one who understands this, nothing is wasted. But understanding alone is not enough. The ancient secret must be practiced daily, in speech, in thought, in silence. When you wake up, notice your first thought. Is it gratitude or anxiety? That single thought sets the tone for your day. In the morning, the Buddha advised, begin as if you have been reborn. Each dawn is a new chance to live rightly. When anger arises, pause before it speaks. When worry comes, breathe before it grows. When fear visits, smile and ask, what lesson do you bring? In that small moment of awareness, you break the chain of reaction and plant the seed of peace. The philosopher Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." But mastery does not mean suppression. It means understanding, knowing your mind so deeply that it no longer controls you. In ancient China, a disciple asked his master, "What is enlightenment?" The master replied, "When hungry, eat. When tired, sleep." The student was confused. "But isn't that what everyone does?" The master smiled. "No, when others eat, their minds are elsewhere. When they sleep, their dreams chase tomorrow. To eat when eating, to sleep when sleeping, that is enlightenment." Peace is not hidden in mystery. It is found in what is most ordinary, in walking slowly, in breathing deeply, in being kind without reason. It grows quietly like grass between stones, unnoticed until the heart softens and the noise fades. As we live this way, something shifts in our perception. We begin to see that every difficulty carries wisdom, every person reflects ourselves, and every moment offers a doorway to stillness. Life stops being a series of problems to solve and becomes a field to walk through with awareness. The philosopher Heraclitus once said, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it is not the same river, and he is not the same man." The ancients knew that peace comes when we flow with change, not against it. To resist life is to drown in it. To flow is to become one with it. When you look at the stars, you realize how small your worries are. When you listen to the wind, you hear that it carries no complaints. The world is constantly reminding us how to be free, but we are too busy talking to listen. In every tradition, the lesson is the same. Peace begins where resistance ends. You do not have to fix the world to rest within it. You only have to stop fighting the moment. And when you do, you discover what the ancient masters already knew, that the mind, once silent, reflects the entire universe. Within that silence lies a joy not dependent on anything, a love not bound by anyone, and a freedom that no power can touch. That is the practice of stillness. Not escape, but return. Not withdrawal, but awakening. And from that stillness, everything begins to make sense again. Peace is not a destination. It is a way of being, a way of walking through life with open eyes and an open heart. The ancient teachers understood this so well that they made every breath, every step, every word a reflection of awareness. They did not separate the sacred from the ordinary. To them, washing a bowl, sweeping a floor, or sitting quietly under a tree was as holy as prayer. There is a story of two monks traveling together. They came to a river where a woman stood, unable to cross. One monk, without hesitation, carried her across on his back. After they reached the other side, the woman thanked him and went her way. Hours later, as they continued walking, the other monk said, "Brother, we are not supposed to touch women. Why did you do that?" The first monk smiled and replied, "I put her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This is the way of the peaceful mind. The past is heavy only when we refuse to let it go. The wise know that peace is found not by holding on, but by setting down what no longer serves the journey. The weight we carry is not from what happens to us, but from what we refuse to release. The Buddha compared the mind to a traveler carrying a heavy sack. When the traveler stops, opens the bag, and looks inside, they find that half of it is filled with stones they picked up long ago. Anger, pride, regret, resentment. They are exhausted, not from walking, but from carrying what was never needed. To find peace, one must learn the art of setting the stones down. A peaceful mind is not empty, it is clear. It holds what is necessary and lets the rest flow away. Like a tree in autumn, it does not mourn the leaves that fall. It trusts that new ones will grow when the time is right. When you look back on your life, you may see moments of loss, betrayal, failure, or pain. But if you look closer, you will also see that each of those moments taught you something about strength, compassion, and humility. Pain is not the opposite of peace. It is the teacher of it. The Stoics taught that we cannot control what happens, but we can control how we interpret it. They said that the universe is not against us, it is shaping us. Every difficulty is an invitation to grow beyond our comfort, to become a little wiser, a little freer. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The same truth appears in Buddhism. The lotus blooms in muddy water. Without the mud, there is no lotus. Without suffering, there is no awakening. What we resist most is often what we need most to become whole. Lao Tzu wrote, "To know others is intelligence. To know yourself is true wisdom. To master others is strength. To master yourself is true power." Self-mastery does not mean dominance or control. It means clarity. It means being able to stand in the middle of life's storms without losing your center. The Confucians spoke of harmony as the foundation of life. They said that peace in the world begins with peace in the heart. When one person becomes calm, they influence their family. When a family becomes calm, it influences the community. When communities become calm, nations change. Peace spreads outward like ripples in a pond. So each of us carries a responsibility. The way we speak, the way we listen, the way we respond, all of it shapes the world around us. A peaceful world begins with peaceful individuals. The smallest act of understanding, a moment of patience, a word spoken gently, these are the seeds of harmony that can change generations. The masters of old did not preach grand philosophies, they lived them. When insulted, they smiled. When praised, they remained humble. When they failed, they bowed to the lesson and began again. They were not saints above human emotion, but humans who learned to let emotion flow through them like wind through bamboo, moving yet leaving no trace. When we practice peace, we begin to feel the same lightness. We stop chasing happiness like a possession and start living it as a state of being. Happiness ceases to depend on success, approval, or comfort. It becomes a quiet joy that arises from living in harmony with the truth of the moment. In that state, even ordinary days glow. The sound of rain feels like music. A stranger's smile feels like sunlight. Every breath becomes a reminder that existence itself is a miracle. When the mind is quiet, the heart awakens. And in that awakening, everything becomes enough. There is an old Zen saying, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." The tasks do not change, only the way we see them does. The enlightened mind finds peace not by escaping the ordinary, but by seeing the sacred within it. When you rise in the morning, feel the breath enter your lungs, that is, life moving through you. When you face conflict, see it as a mirror showing you where your ego still clings. When you lose something, remember that nothing truly belongs to us. Everything is borrowed, even this body. When you meet others, look beyond their masks and see the same longing for peace that lives in you. True peace is not silent indifference. It is a deep engagement with life, so deep that nothing can shake it. It is compassion without fear, love without possession, action without attachment. It is living fully, knowing that nothing lasts and therefore everything is precious. In the stillness of dawn, when the world is quiet, sit and listen to your breath. That simple act is the doorway to everything. As the ancient masters taught, heaven and earth are not far away. They are found in a single mindful breath. The greatest realization of all is that peace was never lost. It was only covered by layers of noise, desire, and forgetting. When those layers fall away, we don't find peace, we remember it. It was always here, behind every thought, beneath every emotion, within every moment. And so the journey is not towards something new, but back to what has always been. Back to the silence that watches, the stillness that feels, the awareness that simply is. When you reach that place, when you see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be, you will understand what the Buddha meant when he said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." If you have found a moment of calm in these words, carry it gently with you. Let it touch the way you speak, the way you breathe, the way you live. Every time you return to that inner stillness, you help the world remember its own. Thank you for walking this path with Wisdom for Modern Living. If these reflections brought you peace or insight, share them with those who might need a moment of stillness today. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue spreading ancient wisdom for the modern world, one peaceful breath at a time. May you be calm, may you be kind, and may you walk gently through this life.